How's it going? This is Hoiman. Today we're taking a look at the Figma Phoenix Wright figure. So you have a nice window to see the figure inside, and then you have the logos as well as the Capcom logos as well. And then the top, nice picture of the figure, same for the bottom, and then similar on the one side, and then you get a different pose on the other side. And then for the back, various pictures of the figure as well as face expressions, and then down here you have some legal stuff. And then to open the box, you just lift open the top cover and you just pull out the figure like so. So first you do get some instructions showing what the figure comes with and how to operate the accessories. Very self-explanatory. And to open the figure, you just lift open the front cover. And there's the figure all together with its accessories. So here's the actual figure itself, and I think this figure overall is just okay. So the sculpt is very simple, just being in the suit body, but it is very detailed overall, so you can see a lot of creases and folds throughout the whole suit and down to his legs. It just makes it look really realistic. And then his shoes are a nice black glossy finish. It's really nice overall. And overall the paint, there's very little paint work since most of the body is molded in blue, but the only paint work there is the white shirt, the red tie, the buttons and the white sleeves, and also the attorney's badge as well, which is painted a nice gold paint, so it really does stand out from the figure. And then moving on to the face, I think the likeness is pretty good. It does look like the character, how he appears from his first 3 games. And I think overall they did capture his expression pretty well. And then the hair on the back as well is very nicely sculpted. It is pretty sharp on all the points, so you have to be careful when handling his head, especially when you change out the faces. And I think my main gripe with the figure is that the way you change his face is that you pull off the whole front of his face along with his hair, but because it separates from the hair, it leaves a really noticeable gap. It does kind of really break the sculpt and is distracting. So it's probably my main gripe, and I guess my other gripe is the neck joint. It just looks really odd, like you can really see the ball joint in there since it's sculpted with a really large gap, and I don't think it really adds a whole lot of articulation to him anyway, so I don't see why they decide to go with that, but it just looks really distracting, especially when you turn the head. It really just breaks the sculpt. But in terms of articulation, like I already said, his head is on a single ball joint, so you can look down that much. And like I already mentioned, the gap does allow slightly more movement, but it looks pretty unnatural. And then you can look up about that much. And then you can tilt his head side to side as well as twist. And then the shoulder is on the ball joint, and because the torso here is a softer material, it doesn't really hinder his articulation too much. And it's also on a hinge, so you can bring his arm out to the side, as well as go forward, and then go back as well. But this piece is pretty solid, so you can't really go back too much. And then you can also swivel around the ball joint. It's got single jointed elbows, and it does kind of break the sculpt since the way it's sculpted makes it kind of stand out when it's bent. And then he's got the ball jointed wrist, so you move that about however you want. And his torso is on a ball joint, so you can lean forward that much and then lean back that much, and you can lean side to side as well as twist. And because the whole torso is a soft material, it doesn't really hinder any articulation. And I think we now move on to my biggest gripe with the figure, is that the hip joints are really loose. So they're just really wobbly and free falling. and it makes it really hard to pose. I looked it up. It's not really a common issue with this figure. It's just mine in particular, which is unfortunate. But yeah, it is just very loose, and it was like this right out of packaging. So moving on to the hip joints, they're on ball joints, and the piece is a softer material as well, so it doesn't really hinder his movement. So you can kick about that far to the side, kick forward that much, and then kick back that much. You can also swivel. It's got single jointed knees, but again, similar to the elbows, it does kind of break the sculpt. And then he's got the ball jointed ankle, so you can go back that much, go forward, not a whole lot, tilt side to side as well as swivel. And because of the trouser, it's quite a solid piece, so it really limits his range in the ankle. So overall, he does have all the articulation you'd expect a Figma to have, but like I already said with the neck, the elbow and knee joints, and also the loose hips, it does kind of put off a lot of points for the figure. But other than that, he still has all the motion, and because of his simple design, he has a lot of range as well. But that's the figure. Let's take a look at the accessories. So he has his default face, and then he has a shouting face, and then he also has a surprised face. He comes with a pair of fists and then a rack of hands. So you have 2 holding hands, 2 palms, 2 hands for the paper, 2 pointing hands, and then you come with another rack of hands. These 2 are to hold his paper, and then these are to hold the paper as well as a coffee mug. But fortunately, there isn't any coffee in there, but it still looks nice overall. He comes with a piece of paper, which is a very simple sculpt, but it works. And he also comes with an attorney's desk, which is pretty cool. It's nicely sculpted. It's a nice matte brown finish, but it is hollow on the other side, but it still works well. And he comes with a Figma stand, and he comes with this attachment, which is to attach the words that he comes with. So he does come with some transparent words, which is the Japanese version. So that's how they appear when displayed. But then he also comes with some English versions as well, which is really nice. It shows that the company was thinking about the Western audience when developing this figure. And they are pretty high quality as well. So it's a nice transparent piece. And then the piece that's stuck on is kind of textured as well. So it looks really nice. And like I showed with the attachment, you just slide the part into this piece. And then this piece can either attach to the back of the figure or it can attach to the display base. And finally, he comes with a Figma bag. So my final thoughts are, this figure, it's nicely sculpted and the likeness does look like the character. But like I mentioned, with the odd design choices in the articulation and sculpt and the really loose hip joints and also some breakage in the sculpt, it does kind of put off the figure, and it keeps me from liking the figure as much as I would like to, which does hurt because I'm a huge fan of the series. But it does come with a good range of accessories and a lot of range of hands as well, so it does kind of make up for it. But at the price point of the figure, and at the time this video going up, he is quite an older figure, so the price of him has really gone up even more. And for the price that they're asking, and with the QC issues I already mentioned, it is a bit off-putting. But if you are like a huge fan of this character in this series, then I still recommend getting this figure. But just keep in mind of the flaws and kind of QC issues that I mentioned. That's my review. Thank you for watching and enjoy some pictures.